Bonjour, everybody. Hi, this is Neshi Locatz. Welcome to Star Nations Organization's Mean fan page and the daily morning card draw information. It's Sunday, July 22nd. It's good to be here. It's another beautiful day. Of course, a lot of people say every day is a beautiful day. And I have to agree. Except for, I would say, if I had to choose, it probably sometime in January when we've on our 100th. No, okay, that's an over exaggeration. That's on, when we have really, really bitter cold winters, and yeah, and we're more than halfway through, and I get tired of it, and so those are not those good days for me. Hello, Rochelle. Welcome. So good to see you in the chat room. I am drinking coffee again this morning. Why? Because it was one of those busy mornings for a Sunday, no less. What happened? I don't know, but it was kind of busy this morning and trying to fit everything in. And I didn't take the time to brew any tea. And so I grabbed the last cup of coffee that Mom usually drinks in the morning. She didn't have her second cup, so I took it. Shh. I'll have to brew her some more when I get back down to the house. So today is, the Sunday energy is usually a little bit more laid back around here. I have to say that this is all because of technology. My husband had bought a new TV some time ago, and it was time to retire the old stereo system. And so we were taking that down and taking it apart. We had bought a different one yesterday, and so we were putting it together. And so the stuff that I didn't get done last night, I had to do this morning, basically. Yeah. So as Paul says, we're now in the 21st century with our television and audio at home. Now I just have to find a new home for the Sony stereo system that we bought in 1997. Yes, I said 1997. It has a CD carousel. It has a turntable to play vinyl. It has a double cassette deck so you can actually record. And it also has the AM/FM receiver and two big, tall speakers, and also the surround sound. Yeah, I know all that, right? All of that. And we still have the same thing, but it's in a smaller package, much smaller. And so helping Paul put that together and get that all figured out meant that everything that I would normally do last night, I had to get done this morning. So you only have so many hours in a day to get everything done, isn't that right? All right. So Rochelle is saying, drinking Diet Vernors. What's a Vernors? That must be a Michigan thing because I don't think we have Vernors in Wisconsin. Good morning, Mervyn Kelly. So good to have you in the house. And Terry Ruel is here. Good morning, Terry. And Connie's here too. Hello, Connie. Two live stream show hosts for Star Nations is in the house. I love it. Rochelle says, used to have one of those, actually miss it. Yeah, to me, that stereo system, actually I contacted Minnie about it because her son-in-law has a thing about antique stereos. And it is an antique, I suppose. But, to me, the antique is what I grew up with. I don't know if you guys remember this, but it was, my parents had a stereo system that it looked like a long console, almost like a buffet, kind of, with drawers and that kind of stuff. Except it it did have drawers, come to think of it, in the center, and the speakers were built in on each end of the drawers. And when you opened the lid, it's like had a piano hinge on it, and when you opened the lid, there was the 8-track player and the turntable and the AM radio. And my parents had that until the day they sold their house in 2006 or 7, something like that. Yeah. To me, that's the antique. That's the one I grew up with. Had good sound though. Rocked the house when you had the sound all the way up, which didn't happen too often because mom would get kind of upset with us and going, turn that thing down. I can't hear myself think. Ah, yes, those are the days, right? And our stereo system actually had really good sound too. Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully, that 21st century sound is going to be good. And let me tell you, that little thing can put out some sound. It does have a bass woofer, I think that's what it's called, but it's Bluetooth, so you can put it anywhere, as long as the system can read it, right? All that for just to share the card for the day. And this, I have to say, was my quiet time for the morning. And it was just, about 10, 15 minutes or so. And this is the card that came this morning, which at first I said South, it said South Shield. And I said, oh, really? We're going to cover that again? But North Shield, it's about wisdom and gratitude. North Shield, wisdom and gratitude. Yeah, and it's got the white buffalo in the shield, and that is supposed to be about white buffalo calf woman. And in the north, according to the medicine wheel that Jamie Sams, who is the author of the cards in the book, through her traditions, they have buffalo in the north, and the ancestors in the north. And actually, that is very much similar to the Potawatomi version of the medicine wheel, and to have that wisdom in the north. And some of you might recall when I called to the four directions to ask for assistance or to bring them in when we're having a specific kind of show, like when we're talking about spirit a lot, talking about those that have walked on. A lot of times I'll call in the four directions for that show. And when I call to the north, I call to the spirit of the north, the spirit of balance, stability, and wisdom. Because for me, that's where the ancestors lie, and where the stone people are represented on the wheel. And the stone people, are recorders. They're our record keepers here on land, and and I want to say probably in the water too. Yeah, because I was thinking whales keep a lot of the record keeping as well as elephants do too. So the spirit of the north, it's at the very top of the wheel, and it represents like the day, the time of day or night would be midnight. That would represent our elder years, that wisdom, all that experience that we gained from all of our life experiences. And for me, the red road goes from the south to the north. And that is the road that we walk when we're walking to our community and taking all of our experience and all the wisdom that we gain from that experience to our community to be in service to them. Yeah. So that for me, that's the spirit of the north. And for Jamie, she writes that that the north is where the ancestors reside, and she says that there's three paths to gain the information of the north, to understand it, right? And what she says is that when Spirit was teaching her about the North Shield, the first piece of information that was given to her was there was a spirit that she calls grandfather, and told her that there was three paths to the North Shield, and are walked many times, and each path is tempered by the fire of experience. And he says the first elder in spirit that came to her to show her the first path was a grandmother. And that grandmother brought her a conch shell. And that conch shell was to represent listening, what we call attentive listening. The power of listening to Mother Earth and her creatures and her children. Through listening, you may know or come to know wisdom. You know, and I had to sit with that just for a moment, because when we're really listening, when we're focused on what is being said to us or what is being said around us, we learn so much more, because our mind isn't racing forward to either find a resolution or a solution or formulating all those questions. And so when we do that, we are not focused on what is being said. We're not even focused on the person talking. We're focused on ourselves. Does that make sense? And so the conch shell that she was given in spirit represented attentive listening or active listening, and listening to everything, not just the other two-leggeds, but all of creation. So when we're out on a walk in nature, that we're listening to the sounds around us, right? And some would even say, and I would have to agree, that listening is also listening to spirit. Even when we're out for a walk, spirit's always talking to us, right? And so we're listening to what the Onondaga, who are also a nation, tribal nation, a part of the Iroquois nation, the Haudenosaunee, the Onondaga call it listening with your thin ears, putting your thin ears on. In other words, you're listening to spirit. And the first time I learned about that was probably, I don't know, late 1990s or so. And the first time I heard that phrase, literally it went to my heart, because that's where I know that things to be true. And so I literally took it to heart to learn how to put my thin ears on. So the second path that Jamie learned about from spirit was that a grandfather came in and handed her a tomahawk. Now, because of Hollywood, we may have a image in our minds about what a tomahawk looks like, right? Kind of looks like, for those who grew up in the country, kind of looks like a hatchet, right? And it's got the blade end, and it's got a pointy end, or a smaller blade end attached to a handle, usually a wooden handle. But tomahawks come in all sizes. They come in sizes like that, maybe good 6 inches, 8 inches. And there's others that are huge. They look more like the size of maybe a sledgehammer size. And so they can come very large, like I want to say maybe 4 feet high. And they're heavy to swing. And there's one thing that's attached to the term tomahawk, and some of you might recognize it. It's called burying the tomahawk. Let's bury the tomahawk. Have you heard that phrase before? That was in the chat. Again, some of that goes to Hollywood movies. Let's bury the hatchet. And many people don't understand what that phrase means, because a tomahawk is a weapon, and a weapon of war, okay? A weapon to protect your loved ones. And so it's that weapon of war, that disagreement. And when there was a ceremony that's a large ceremony, or the council fire was meeting, in the old days, our ancestors, what they would do is they would if there was disagreements between people who were going to be in attendance of the ceremony or of the council fire, they were expected to work things out so that when they go into the ceremony or into the council fire, they are on good terms, right? So they leave. It's all about forgiveness, burying the tomahawk. It's all about forgiveness and working through that piece, so that when you literally lay it to rest, it's done, it's over, and you come to that agreement, and you come to forgiveness. And you and I both know, and holy smokes, some things take time to work through. It takes time to listen to the other person and come to an agreement or an understanding before you can wholeheartedly forgive. And so can you imagine, that there's a council coming up, and that you're going to be there, and your recent nemesis is going to be there. The one that rubs you the wrong way is going to be there. And that you have to, and you're expected by the other leadership within the nation, you're expected to sit down and work it through before you enter that council fire, or you don't enter. You give up your opportunity to be a part of that because you are unable to forgive. Because those council fires, and we talked about this yesterday with the council fire card, those council fires were all about the people, the decisions that were going to be made that affected all of the people, all of your nation. And so they were literally setting aside, working through their personal issues with another leader so that they could focus on what was good for the people. And when I had to sit there and think about that a little bit and feel what that was like. And, it takes a lot of courage. It takes patience. But it also takes an open mind and an open heart to be able to sit across from somebody who rubs you the wrong way, to try to find a way that you can put it to rest. Yeah. I wonder, seeing Terry's name in the chat, I wonder if that is the beginning of having a third party to come to mediate, to help reach a middle ground, to be able to help maybe, facilitate that expression of the thoughts and the feelings, and maybe even get to the root of what happened. What happened that took these people to this point. Yeah, that's all coming from the whoops, dropped the card. Coming from the gift that was given to Jamie through from Spirit of the Tomahawk. And for those who are just showing up, this is the card that came this morning, North Shield. It's about wisdom and gratitude. Wisdom and gratitude. And so even with that one gift, how much can we learn from when we're putting aside, or not putting aside, I don't want to say that, coming to terms and forgiving. Yeah, lots of wisdom gained from that one. The third gift that she received was from White Buffalo Calf Woman herself. What she gave Jamie was the explanation of the pipe, the Chanupa, the sacred pipe. She said it was a symbol of balanced shields of the male and female energies. That's my word, energies. And she explained the red road and the blue road to Jamie, and of being grateful for the beauty of great mystery's perfect plan. The third path is gratitude and prayers of thankfulness. Gratitude and thankfulness also leads to wisdom. And the gratitude, I have to say, that's huge. For me, it's huge. Because almost every night, because I'm one of those people who have issues falling asleep. Once I'm asleep, I'm good to go. But it's the falling asleep. And I read a little bit, but that usually doesn't put me to sleep. What I have to do is a little self-discipline and read a chapter and put the book away. Otherwise, I would read the entire book. Or pretty darn close to the entire book. And so once I do that, then I list in my mind everything that I'm grateful for. Or what I do, I'll work my way backwards from and what I'm grateful for in that particular day. So, I'd work my way backwards. I'd start with getting ready for bed, and I'm grateful for the feather pillows, and I'm grateful for, those kinds of things. And then working my way back all the way to the morning of the different things that I was grateful for. Or sometimes I just think about the things that I'm grateful for in general. And by the time I get through the list, I'm usually asleep. But I found that is gives me the most restful and peaceful sleep when I do that. The nights that I don't get up as rested. So, I'm sure that there's some correlation there. But gratitude and being grateful are big medicine. It really is, especially when you can be thankful and grateful from your heart, not just from your mind, but also from your heart. And doing it in a good way is what we say. Doing it in a good way. Hey, Mary Anderson Fry is here, and Mary Zakowitz. I always mispronounce your last name. Apologies, Mary. Mary S. Hello, Mary S. And Elise is here. Good morning, Elise. And Pam, my good friend Pam Mista. That's what I call her. And Rochelle saying yes, and Pam saying good morning, Neshi. Good morning, Pam. And for Pam, it's an early morning. She's over in Alaska. So coffee, right, Pam? Coffee. I think you're still drinking coffee, aren't you? Doing the caffeine thing? I know. I was telling everybody earlier that I was a little lazy. I didn't brew any tea for myself this morning. So this is the card that showed up this morning, North Shield. It's about wisdom and gratitude. Wisdom and gratitude. Actually, it's a pretty good card for a Sunday morning, I think. There was a part in here that Jamie wrote about that made me sit up and take notice. It was one of those things that kind of jumped out at me, She writes that when she was having this vision, this dream time about the three paths to wisdom, when she got the third gift from Buffalo Calf Woman, she found herself, she thought she was going to be coming back to the earth reality, right? And instead, what happened is that she found herself at a council fire with even more elders. And with these elders, they weren't all human. They didn't appear to be human, two-legged. Some of them were two-legged, but what she was able to experience was a council of elders from a higher perspective, a higher universal, not just a planetary, but a universal council. and there was twice as many there. I think the first one she said was 200, and this one was like 400 beings. And she shares about the shock of seeing so many different universal beings. Some who, like I said, looked human, and others did not. And the ones who did not are the ones that shocked her. And so she was trying not to stare. She was trying to take it in, but not be staring at them. And what she learned about that is that even in those higher realms of existence, that there on the outside there's some differences, but on the inside there we are more alike than we are different. And so what she says is that they were the races that came from the stars. Some appeared to be Earth-like, but most of others were races that I had never imagined possible before. I understood for the first time how the Kachinas must have looked to the Hopis who greeted them. Because, the Kachinas, they're just not dolls. They're images of, you might call them extraterrestrial, but they're our relatives from the stars, our ancestors from the stars. And so she realized what that must have been like. So she was meeting with another, what I would call another frequency, another octave, another vibration higher than our planetary. She was actually experiencing the universal octave. I thought that was like way cool. Because, we know it's there. Those of us who've been walking this path for some time, we've always had the thought, we're looking up at the stars, and we know that we're not the only ones in the universe. Do you remember that old movie, Contact, with Jodie Foster? And she was asking, when she was young, she asked her dad if he thought that there was other living beings elsewhere in the universe, out there in space. And he said, I certainly hope so. Otherwise, it would be a lot of wasted space, kind of stuff. I probably misquoted that, but it's something like that. Am says, haven't gotten none to bring to bed. Oh, so you're listening to this all comfy in your bed. Oh my goodness. Now that's the way to do it. No one to bring it to me in bed either, huh? Well, that's the way to do it, Pamista, is to relax and listen or watch. So you can enjoy it vicariously through me, because that was a good cup of coffee this morning. She also goes on to say that the sacred path of universal wisdom also has to do with the ability to accept the unusual or bizarre with grace and understanding. So in other words, if something looks very different than we're used to, is not to judge it by its superficial cover, okay? That there is something much deeper there, and to have an open mind and an open heart. And I'm going to add something here, is to make sure that we have good, healthy boundaries. That it's not about fear. It's about having a healthy boundary, and also to be able to discern. Now, we all know that don't judge a book by its cover. That's another old saying, isn't it? Yeah. So if something looks different, doesn't mean that it's there to harm you, or it has anything negative to it. In the same token, the flip side of that is if there's something or someone that is new to you, and it looks on the outside really great, beautiful looking, is to actually look a little bit deeper, because that's where our discernment comes in. Is that we're feeling our intuition, sensing with our intuition, is to be as open-minded and open-hearted as we can be, but also to discern. Yeah, and look beyond the surface. Do their words and their action match? It's about integrity. Those kinds of things. So just because they look different than us doesn't mean that it's a negative, something negative. It could be something very, very positive. You just have to look a little bit deeper. She goes on to say that a universal being rather than, it was an astounding vision, and I was endowed during that time with a profound understanding of what it is to be a universal being rather than a limited identity. I found that beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and that all races of our universe are ready to assist us. And out of that sentence, what really hit home for me is that she had come to understand that she was not just a human being, but she was a universal being. Let that sink in for a moment. When we talk about wholeness and oneness, it's not just here on Earth. It's for the entire universe. Yeah. Kind of blew my mind a little bit. Have I ever seen it in print before that way? I probably have, but I have to say, all in divine timing, right? When we're ready to receive the information, it appears. And so here I am this morning. I had to sit there, and it was like mouth open. It's like, oh my God, that's it. That's a truth, that we are more than just two-leggeds here, being a human being. We are spirit, and we are a universal being. Light bulb. I don't know. How do you guys feel about that? Rochelle, she just saw a bald eagle flying down the river in front of her house. How cool is that? That's a good sign. My mother would be saying, and what were you thinking about when you saw that eagle? Because those two things are connected. That's what she would be asking me. Jamie says the revelation of the teaching of the North Shield is that the North is at the top of our medicine wheel, and beyond that is the South, the beginning of the new medicine wheel, that is the place of the ancestors. Beyond the north of that wheel is the South, or the beginning of the universal medicine wheel. And to me, that's kind of like saying, in the same token, when we're talking about our chakras, that we have a return chakra, right? And Pam, this is part of the information we got from Drendula, right? Is that we have the return chakra, right? And above that, we have even more chakras. And so it's a way to say that it's not the end. It's only the beginning. And when we start to understand or bring in the information and remember that higher vibrational information, is that we're talking about ascension here, is what we're talking about. Yeah, coming from the North Shield. She says, remember that there is no limitation when you reach the place of wisdom. The secrets are no longer meant to be kept from those with ears to hear and eyes to see. And that's a very, and we've heard that sentence before, or that phrase, with ears to hear and eyes to see. It has been written and spoken many, many, many times in this decade and part of the last decade. With ears to hear and eyes to see. And so you're not, and when you put your thin ears on, you're also hearing spirit. When we see, can either see with our physical eyes, right? Or we can see with our third eye. So they're talking about clairvoyance and clairaudience. And those who have the clairsentient, the knowing. I really like this. I mean, she took the information of the North to a really deep level. And so I really enjoyed reading it this morning and being able to share this with all of you. And those who'll be listening to the recorded or watching the recorded video. And this is what I love about our mornings together, to be able to have the spiritual conversation. It so takes me back to when we used to have spiritual roundtables at my house. These are the kind of discussions we would have, and everybody putting their 2 cents in about it, sharing their experience with it. Universal beings, yeah, Rochelle is said, thinking about your words, universal beings. That yes, we are two-leggeds here on planet Earth, human beings from Earth, right? Having this physical experience. But our spirit, our soul selves, are also universal beings. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow. We could talk on just that alone for another hour. So the application of this card is wisdom is coming your way if you've chosen the North Shield card. You're now being asked to show gratitude for these new understandings in order to continue the growth process. Being thankful and having gratitude for the new understandings. And so I'm going to say it out loud. I am grateful. Thank you so much to my spiritual team for bringing the information and helping me to remember that I'm a universal being. I am also a human being, but I'm also a universal being. I love it. So wisdom is an inner knowing that cannot be traded, sold, or stolen from you. That inner knowing. The North Shield tells you that you have learned a lesson and derived from it a sense of self that will serve you for the rest of your life. Mm-hmm. The successful completion of this lesson should be marked by prayers and thanksgiving or acknowledged in gratitude. Remember that the gift of wisdom is in the heart of the recipient and remains alive as long as it is honored as a blessing. North Shield. And this is coming from the ancient ones. The ones who gained their experience, took it onto the red road, and through spirit are continuing to provide service with the understanding. Yep. Now the poem, and you guys all know how I feel about Jamie's poetry. I really do like it a lot. And so here's her poem about the North Shield. She writes, North Shield, sacred place of the elders, in gratitude I sing your praise. Sacred buffalo, white as driven snow, my heart until the end of my days. Hold my heart. I'm going to read that again. I wasn't a very good reader with that one. I'm going to read it again. North Shield, sacred place of the elders, in gratitude I sing your praise. Sacred buffalo, white as driven snow, hold my heart until the end of my days. Hold my heart. North Shield. It's about wisdom and gratitude. Wisdom and gratitude. All right, I'm going to see what the conversation is. Tanya is saying affirmative. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So, I added the medicine cards from Jamie not quite a month ago to help us to understand the essence of the card that was drawn for clarity and for depth, right? And so I did that again this morning, asking what animal relative could assist us to understand the essence of the North Shield card with clarity and depth. And this is who showed up. Raven. Raven is about magic. And as I do this, as I show it, I hear the crow call, but it could have been a raven because their calls are very similar. But I just heard a crow. We actually have two crows. They're kind of hard to identify. If you just see one, a crow or a flock of crows. It's not until you see a crow and a raven near each other, for me, that I can really identify and say, yes, that is the raven, because the raven is so much larger in size. But we have two crows who have a nest here on the property, and I was hoping to be able to see their babies. I've never seen a baby crow or a baby raven for that matter. Has anybody else seen a baby? I was kind of hoping that one would show up so I could see it here on the property. But Raven is about magic. And whenever I think of Raven, I think of Merlin. I don't know if Mervin is still here. It's kind of late over there. Well, wait a minute. Probably afternoon-ish. I don't know. Mervin, are you still in the chat? If you are, if you wouldn't mind sharing a little Raven and Merlin info, how those two kind of go together, we'd appreciate it. It's another layer of understanding. Hey, Stephanie just joined us. Hello, Stephanie. If you're still in the live chat, I would be very appreciative if you shared just a little bit about Raven and Merlin because of the magic. Jamie says that through time, Raven has carried the medicine of magic. It is sacred in the medicine ways to honor Raven as the bringer of magic. Raven magic is powerful medicine that can give you the courage to enter the darkness of the void, which is the home of all that is not yet formed. All that is not yet formed. The void is called the great mystery. My garage door just went up. That must mean Paul's around. And she goes on to say that the great mystery existed before all things came into being. Great Spirit lives inside the void and merged with the great mystery. Raven is the messenger of the void. That's where the magic piece comes in. the card coming to us means that we're about to experience a change in consciousness. Raven, let's see, it says, it would portend a signal brought by the raven that says, you have earned the right to see and experience a little more of life's magic. I can kind of see how that goes together. It feels right. I mean, just the fact that when we talked about the North Shield and the ancestors and the understanding of the three gifts that were brought to Jamie so that she could understand the essence, the spirit of the North, and that she was able to experience the spirit of the North, not just in the sense of Earth, but also of the next octave, the next frequency up, which is the universal. I think that we that's what we did when we talked about it, when we shared that information. Could be a very important step in our evolution as spiritual beings. Something to really sit with today and see how that energy comes to you, how it unfolds for you, how you sense that the acknowledgement that we are human beings, two-leggeds here, having a physical experience, but we're also spirit, and our spirit is a universal being. Raven is also the guardian of ceremonial magic in absentia healing. In other words, a distance healing. Raven guides the magic of healing and the change in consciousness that will bring about a new reality and dispel disease or illness. That new reality. I love it. Thank you, Stephanie. Good morning to you too. She says, crows and raven? I've never even seen small ones. They always seem to show up full grown no matter what time of year. I know. I was so hoping this year because the two that we have that live here and fly all over the neighborhood, you can hear them in the mornings, and sometimes they're kind of loud. But I was kind of hoping, babies, maybe we could see the babies. No, they're still around, but I've never seen their young. And I was kind of hoping. So, and Rochelle says, this is really heavy information. Okay, it's deep information. And it's something that it's a gift. It's a gift that we can all take with us today and kind of let it percolate, gestate. Watch, sense. How do I say that? I when I do the meditations, it's sensing, feeling, seeing, and we're going to add hearing onto that for today. How the energy flows for you today. How does this come to you? You going to witness it? Are you going to be a direct participant in it? And either way, it's a gift. It's whether you're watching it happen, bearing witness to it, or if you have the opportunity to be involved in it directly, right? So that is the essence of this whole thing that we do every day, is to ask, what is the energy that's most important for us to know about today for the highest good? Yeah. Jamie says that when we get this card, that magic is in the air. Do not try to figure it out. You can't. It is the power of the unknown at work, and something special is about to happen. The deeper mystery, however, is how you will respond to the sparkling synchronicity of this alchemical moment. Isn't that a really good sentence? As a publisher, it's like, oh my God, I'd be going, yes, this is good writing. It is the power of the unknown at work, and something special is about to happen. The deeper mystery, however, is how you will respond to the sparkling synchronicity of the alchemical moment. It may be time to call Raven as a courier to carry an intention, some healing energy, a thought, a message. Raven is the patron of smoke signals or spirit messages represented by the smoke. So when you light a candle, or better yet, when you light incense, or if you're smudging, is connect with the plant. If you're using a smudge, the spirit of the plant, asking for assistance. And before you light it, is to have your prayer, your intention in your mind and in your heart. And when you light it and the smoke starts to come up, your prayers are being taken with that smoke. Call on Raven to assist in taking the message for you. Yeah, because Raven is about the void. It's about where all things that have not yet taken form. That's where the magic is. That is where the alchemical gift is at. Yeah. I'm very excited about this. Can you tell? This is a card draw that has very deep meaning. And when you take it to heart, find the balance between the heart and the mind, which is our high heart right here. Yeah, take that information and see how it unfolds for you today. I'm just going to read the poem for Raven. She says, Raven, black as pitch, mystical as the moon, speak to me of magic. I will fly with you soon. I like that. I will fly with you soon. So with that, there has been a real gift given to us today. And I love it that we were together to receive it. I am. And there's, speaking of gratitude, one of the things that I'm very, very grateful for is all of you here at Star Nations, our community, to be able to spend this kind of time together every day is a blessing for me. And I hope you enjoy it. I hope, maybe this would be a good one, a good recorded video to share with another friend, somebody who you feel would appreciate and maybe, we'll put it in air quotes, need, because who's to say what they need, the information for today. Just share it with one other person. It's one of those small steps that we talk about. Yeah, it's one of those small steps. So I'm going to remind you of another show today. Mervyn, Kelly, and I have been doing this series about taking care of elderly parents. And we do this show once a month. And today's the day, this afternoon at 3 p.m. Central, that we're going to have this next part of the series. And today what we're talking about are alternative therapies and natural remedies that we've used with our moms that has helped. And then, that conversation with those in the chat that have maybe another method or another remedy that they've tried, or maybe it's going to be a person who is searching for something that they need to help with an elder, or somebody that they're taking care of. So join us. It's at 3, And we can maybe carry on the conversation a little bit. Rochelle is saying, do you ever see baby birds? Yes, I've seen baby cardinals, bluebirds. I actually saw an indigo bunting once. Oh, there they go again, the crows in the neighborhood. Stephanie, I will have to look up what the fledglings look like. Okay. And Stephanie, if you wouldn't mind sharing, if you find an image, if you could share that with us, I would appreciate it. And Rochelle saying, I'm grateful for you. Well, thank you, Rochelle. I appreciate that. Okay, so just take whatever resonated with you today, embrace it, take it with you. Anything that didn't resonate with you, didn't feel like, well, I don't know what she's talking about. That's okay. You can let that go, or you can be a messenger. Maybe the message was meant for someone that you know, and you can be the messenger. And so, enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and hopefully we'll see you this afternoon too. And with that, Bama Mina, until we see each other again. Love you guys.